Almost got me that time.
I'll yield to none.
Almost got me that time.
You're not trying to escape, are you?
Glory is mine.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared, and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
So, it wasn't a dream after all.
Yes, this is a rare kind of magic. I'll need to write to headquarters right away. Yes, this is a rare kind of magic. I'll need to write to headquarters right away.
Oh my, these smelling salts are strong stuff.
There. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. No, you're alive, and you're having a conversation. You are on a ship, of course. But luckily for us both, we're merely sailing the plain old sea.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits. And if you're a particularly good girl, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those Source spells of yours? See what happens. Oh, do go on. I won't hold it against you. Promise. My, aren't we a meek little lamb? Perhaps I needn't have collared you at all, though it does look darling on you. So let's just leave it on, shall we? Because, to answer your question, what the collar does is this. It makes you unable to cast Source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's.
Good gods, there's been a murder here.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwoken followed the source that did this. Finn didn't see it like that. He was desperate for us to help him. Two things scared the living daylights out of him. His own shadow, and his own source. We'll find out who did this. Speaking of...
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Figured as much. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Thanks.
Who?
how to sing. I did.
It was one of them. I know it.
As food.
Would you put
I've
a
seen
knuckle
more
in it? I'm
appetizing
trying to
things coming out of
concentrate.
plague-stricken pigs.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty.
I'll give you that knuckle
Turnips
if you
and
keep
water
carrying
are
on.
all I was given.
One of us wouldn't kill our own.
I've never
They're
dined
picking
on
us off
anything
one
less
by
than a
one.
dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do
Can
away
we
with
just
the custom.
skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
There has been a murder,
You
Your
think me
Majesty.
mad?
Maybe that has the
Mad?
Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Insufferable, surely.
Don't
A
you
broad
get-
dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, Ghetto. You hear that?
Right. I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Nest.
He opens both eyes and turns his head toward you, looking you up and down. He smiles and closes his eyes once more.
You look like a ghetto to me. Listen if you're interested, or get gone if you aren't.
We'll hang you right over the side of
The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
You classify this slop as food.
And?
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water.
The fellow cocks his ear. Listen.
That isn't anger. It's
He cocks his ear to the other side, then smiles.
anticipation. She senses something. I'd hold on to my breeches if I were you, mate. That's all you hear, though. Listen close.
The Magister's more concern than your appetite.
There now, just like that.
Get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There, you heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, kiddo. Good news.
your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a camp.
It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we've been traveling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy. Yeah, no indeed, kiddo. But that ain't my final destiny.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all, thank ye kindly, kiddo.
He continues stroking his beard, a beatific smile on his lips, and doesn't acknowledge you anymore.
The Magisters are out for blood. You saw the body, didn't you? Big bruiser like you ought to be able to take them on.
Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if...
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
I ain't saying nothing.
Bloody dwarves, I'll come back to you, and you better be ready to talk here.
There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
That knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
Ah, music to my beleaguered stomach.
Insufferable.
On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor?
Tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Yes, I can tell from your vagabond chic, a bag is as good as a shirt kind of style. I shouldn't be getting my hopes up. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can cook and groom, but you have the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit. Still, beggars can't be choosers. So without further ado, I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave. You should probably come to terms with the fact that you've half a mind, full stop. Rein in your impertinence, will you? I'm a fair man, but I won't spare the rod. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy. Now, shoo!
Please, please, please. Be good, you scallywags.
Forgive me, kin. Were that I had more than gruel to serve. If I'd more than cornmeal and rotting roots, I'd concoct something more fitting. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
Mad?
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like. Rolling dice. Deciding fates.
It was one of them.
Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
Care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
What are you trying to hear anyway?
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers. As everyone lay sleeping, you lay awake thinking of someone back home. A very special someone. You were reminiscing about the things you used to do together.
That right? I always knew you'd turn.
She pats you on the shoulder consolingly.
There, don't you worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and tell.
Got this wolf on a leash now.
Ah, there you are, wife. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not-at-all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this loser woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own.
How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You'd presume right. Nope. Trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Name? We just skipped to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
Well, you aren't here on my list. Scram, eh? We're trying to catch a killer here.
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
Here's the register, ma'am. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last passenger. You faring okay so far?
He tugs the collar of his uniform and chuckles.
I'm sorry you're upset, ma'am, but we all wear what we wear for a reason. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
As soon as the Inquisitors get here, they'll be trying to let us out of this ship.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out, flicks a finger against one of your scales, and rubs his chin.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history?
It was one of them. I know it.
You put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
Oh, please. I have no interest in that. Your books are too full of it already. No, I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your gods. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind? Of course you don't have any useful information. Why did I expect anything else? Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his book or respond to your questions. Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts Source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled. You hear a faint thud, thud, thud. He's alive, but only just. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled. Ifan lies motionless, curled on the ground like an animal. Under his shaggy hair, you can see green eyes fluttering as if in a nightmare. His eyes flicker open, but he doesn't register your presence.
Lucien. Lucien.
Ifan cries out, then his eyes fall closed again. No matter how much you shake him now, he cannot be roused.
Not the final dark. Not yet.
It's no use. Your words do not seem to reach her.
The dice roll darkly. They're rolling for me.
The young woman lies in a heap on the floor. She's breathing normally, but she doesn't stir. The hound paws desperately at its snout. It winces as it draws blood from its wet black nose and continues scratching. The dog notices you for the first time and snarls, the hairs on its back prickling as it lowers itself into a lunge.
Sorcerer!
It sneezes suddenly and paws at its nose once more.
Can't smell. Can't breathe. Too much sauce. Too much. Too much.
Please, make it stop.
Sorcerer!
The dog whines and continues pawing at its nose.
Not long before this thing snaps into splinters. God damn it! Need to get off this wreck and quick.
On the door was painted recently, judging from its pungent scent. You don't recognize the symbol, but it's clearly warning you away. You press your palm against the door to open it. The wood feels neither cold nor warm, but simply grey. The color, it doesn't budge. Through the door and are suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular, and a glorious jewel sits in the middle of his forehead. The skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia, muttering to himself.
No, no, no! What damn fools record knowledge on a pulped tree? It catches fire, it turns into must when wet, it cannot even resist acid! No wonder they're so bloody ignorant.
The skeleton looks up and notices you for the first time.
Oh, it's you. Shouldn't you be running and screaming or some such?
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book, frantically flipping from page to page.
Yes, indeed. It's the look of someone that wants to read the bloody book he's holding. Now, if you're really quite finished, I believe you have lifeboats to flee to. Please, I was no more an elf than you are those rags you're wearing. I had a mask, rather ingeniously designed, which allowed me to take that primitive form. A mask that was stolen by that damned witch after her little scene. Still, she'll drown with the rest of these fools, and I will simply pluck my mask from her cold, dead hands. Indeed, just as sensible as getting off a sinking ship and leaving a fellow to his business. I would say good day, but it seems quite likely that you're about to die a rather terrible death, so...
The skeleton shrugs casually and returns to his...
chance.
Children and dwarfs first, just like the old stories say.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes to no avail.
You said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here.
Thank you! There's a ladder right over there. You can go straight down.
You're gonna be the death of us, you hear?
The Magister lies on the...
If you can walk, get yourself up the ladder. There's a wait! Voidwoken! Huh. I thought Voidwoken was supposed to be scary.
I've faced worse.
Let the games begin.
Glory is mine!
They who are about to triumph.
These beardless bugs won't sink the ship on my watch.
Mind? I'm really...
The moment you touch the door...
Damn! That doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards.
But a fine grace, what was...
He eyes the collar circling your neck and reaches a hand towards his blade.
Another sorcerer!
The Magister's companion doesn't blink, frozen in place at the sight of you.
Even if I knew how to rip that thing off, I wouldn't. Some crazy banshee comes screaming through, and now we got void bugs swarming up top. Sorcerer mutiny!
He whispers loudly to the other Magister.
Don't just cower there, Rix. Take out your blade.
Rix grabs his sword, which shakes in the rhythm of his trembling hand. Rix looks to his companion, who then looks to you. They drop their hands to their sides.
Go on, then. Find a place to hide and stay there.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Oriven.
Those Voidwoken made short bloody work of the ship. Am I the lone survivor? This must be Fort Joy.